Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
On July 4th, 1962, I found myself in the lost and found of mankind. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that it wants to be there. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that the person who lost it doesn't care for that lost item.
You are writing moments that people will learn from, grow from, and heal through for thousands of years. Together, we are co-authoring a unique moment in time. That DNA, those fingerprints, they're going to be gone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But it is your story that they will tell for thousands of years. But only if you leave it. Things that do not serve you must go. The longer you wait, the more time you give them to trick you into serving them. 22 homes in foster care, everything I wore as a scar, as a shame, things that started like Velcro on my spirit. After just a few months, then years, then decades, I had believed myself into believing that they were indelible tattoos. Sometimes we have to be broken down to appreciate the view once we start getting up. I want you to leave this place and know that you have been changed. Why? How do I know it's true? Because each of you has just changed.
Before you get it, baby, show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine.
I'm so excited I forgot to turn on the camera. Wake up! There, I tried to be nice about it, but you had to push it. Wake up! Wake that ass up. Ain't no sleeping in here. We are up. We are ready. Y'all, it is a beautiful day. It is a beautiful day. One more time. It is a beautiful day. Listen, are you happy to be alive today? Are you? Think back. Think back. Think back. We can all go back to that square at the sidewalk. Remember that day we woke up and didn't want to get out of bed? Remember that day we woke up and didn't want to look at our online banking? Remember that day when we got up and remembered what that bitch Gail said about us last night? I'm just kidding. But just think about it. I'm just saying, think back to those days when you didn't wake up as feeling as great as you did today, right? That's a good reason to say, can I get an amen up in here? Things get better and then they get greater. That's what we come together to prove each and every morning right here on Bathrobe Moments. So welcome to today's installment. I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris. That what you heard there is the bell. It is the bell. It's the bell of purpose. I don't ring it by accident. I ring it on purpose. It's not a show gimmick or a prop. Don't get it twisted. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to lean in, tune in, and receive some truth. The thing that always leads the way in a list. You ever notice that? The truth, the light, the way. Truth is always the first thing on the list. So just like that bell, the truth has a ring to it. So when you hear it, it means stop what you're doing. Pay attention. There's something out here you might not want to miss. One more time. Can I get an amen? Thank you so much. Listen, welcome to the show at this point. This is my sidekick. She's been here for 6 straight years. It's my Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. She's my version of Ed McMahon. Happy to be here. I've got my Cheerios with my banana in it today. And you guys know it's going to be about this all the way until I get back and then some. That's right. We are headed to Romania, the Legacy of Hope tour, coming up here shortly. 2 weeks from this Thursday, we'll be leaving a group of us, Team USA, to head over to Romania to meet with Team Romania and Hope for Kids. And we're taking 200. They were in Frankfurt yesterday. The 200 comfort cases. I got the update. I felt like I was watching a kid, one of my children, traveling. Those 200 comfort cases. I was like, oh, my babies are in Frankfurt. So the comfort cases are on the way, and we are going to fill them with something. God's going to provide. The universe is going to provide. You best believe that. But we got to be good stewards. We're getting the cases there and worrying about filling them later. So today I have on the show, boy, let me tell you something. They could probably make a movie about her one day. Seriously, she's like some kind of warrior chick. For real. I don't know how she does it. She got some babies. I think it's 2 of them. But when you call her, it sounds like there's 10 of them. They got so much energy. Those babies are hers. But she's a great mom. She's a loving wife. She's a cousin. She's a lot of things to a lot of people. But to us, the Power of We Symposium, and to these children that we are headed over to pour into, to love up on in Romania, she is the answer to a prayer that's being prayed for a long time. And so what I mean by that, Diana is here today, and I'm going to bring her in so we can get started. There's much to talk about. Hope for Kids, her NGO, nonprofit. We're going to talk about, you guys been seeing the video for about a month now. Yeah, so this is the girl in the video doing the narration. So listen, her first time here. So on your P's and Q's, your best behavior, throw some hearts on the screen. It's our virtual way of applauding, a standing ovation, if you will, because guess what? There's nothing better in the entire universe than introducing people you love with other people you love. So here we go. Here comes Diana. Good morning.
Morning.
You're in Spain.
Yes, afternoon here.
Does the rain in Spain stay mainly on the plane?
No, it's nice and sunny today. So
And you're in Madrid?
Madrid, yeah.
Is it as beautiful as the brochures make it look?
No, actually it's more.
It is? You're so blessed. Hi, I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you're here. Listen,
Say your last name for everybody.
It's GINI.
I thought so, but I thought that's too easy. It's probably GINI or GINI or
No,
something. So it
it's-
is Diana GINI. Listen, I have a little thing I always do. I dip out, I leave for about a minute, and I let the guest, create their own vibe, if you will, with the audience. So just basically introduce yourself, say hello, and start it off, and then I'll come back in and we'll get the interview started. How's that sound?
That sounds wonderful.
Okay, all you. I'll be back.
Thank you. So, hi everyone. My name is Diana GINI, and I am the vice president of an NGO in Romania called Gaudiopolis, actually. Hope for Kids. It's our movement that we started this year, where we're trying to bring awareness to people around the world about this drastic situation of children, institutionalized children in Romania. There's this thing after we entered the European Union, our country, where kind of things started looking amazing, and we're very good about putting under the rug what's going on, especially with the institutionalized children that are still suffering. And Dr. Lauren actually is, as he's been telling you for quite a while now, very excited about coming to Romania. And you really, really hope that with this event, we're going to put a dent in the system, at least scare them that Americans are on their way, and, get a little, order in place. So, yep, this is me. I entered this association actually just in November last year, so I'm quite a freshman in it, but I'm working around the clock. And my cousin, actually, Norbert, he's the one that has been guiding the ship since 1990. So most of this association's work is on him. And now we just added this Hope for Kids movement, where we're really trying to get more into activism and really try to change legislation and just bring justice to these kids, that every child matters. It doesn't matter if it's just our child at home or it's actually a child in the system that actually deserves even more attention and more care and more love and more everything, and they're getting
everything,
less of everything. So
let me ask you, here's where I want to start. It's because I'm so interested in knowing, seriously. Now, Norbert, your cousin, and then there's Roland, also a cousin. Now, are they brothers?
No.
So you're three different cousins.
Yeah.
I think that is so cool. That is so cool. So let me ask you, since Norbert has been doing this work for quite some time, so your children, you have two, right?
Mm-hmm. I have
Now,
two boys.
how old is your oldest one?
4, and the youngest one is going to turn 2 right after we leave Romania.
2. That's the one I probably hear thinking it sounds like 4, because that little boy, let me tell you, that's some energy, y'all, for real. So listen, so that means you were aware of Norbert's work before you ever bore a child. So you had a certain view of what you thought this was all about. But then you became a mother. You held your own babies. And I have to imagine, Diana, that aspect changed everything. Talk about that if you could. How different is what you feel deep within your spirit today about working with these kids and just kids globally, but starting with the ones on your own soil? How did having your own children impact this work you're doing now?
So, as you know, I lived in Dallas for almost 20 years. We literally just moved back to Europe.
You're a dance teacher, right?
Yes, I had a music school in Dallas.
Okay.
And I worked with children my entire life. But as you were saying, after having my own, I started realizing that, yes, it's very impactful to be a wonderful music teacher. And yeah, I was lucky. They all loved me, and I was talented at being a teacher. And at least that's what I was told, right?
Of course.
This is not me building my own statue here.
No.
after having my first one, I started realizing that it just wasn't enough. And and I had a couple of fundraisers that I attended in Dallas, like quite big ones with, you probably know him, like Emmett Smith, and he has a wonderful association. And
Emmett,
um,
wait a minute. Emmett Smith, the football player?
duh,
Wait a minute. You're not going to believe this.
what?
You know, in the 80s, I had a business called Apology Accepted. That's how I got in People Magazine. I did apologies for people. Emmett Smith hired me. I did an apology. Well, he didn't hire me, a girl did, and I delivered it to him. He lived in Hollywood then.
Oh, really? He
Yes,
lives in
I
Dallas
went
now.
I went to his house and delivered his apology. If you ever talk to him again, bring it up. I bet you he remembers it.
Well, dear, I used to teach piano to his older one.
Wow. Okay, go
Mhm.
on with your story. Cool
Small world.
world.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, seeing some of these, fundraising galas, which are fabulous, right? And I'm there, nobody, just thinking like, I just, kind of want to grow up one day and be like you guys. And
Mm.
uh, because it's just wonderful. I remember there was another one. I think it's a Brave Love called. They're just amazing. They're convincing young mothers they can't. Keep their babies to keep their babies, and kind of co-parent with the adoptive parent. It's just a wonderful work that they do. So I learned so much by attending this, and I just, looking at my children, thinking like, "Oh, there's these kids like in Romania. Like, I know it's been tough, like after the 90s, when they discovered all the orphanages and all of that, which it improved the situation. It did improve. There's no more massive, mammoth organizations like that, like orphanages like that.
Right.
But there's a lot of placement centers and a lot of children, like over 150,000 of them, without parents in the system. Uh, so there's just so much more to do for them. And seriously, I hear stories like yesterday, for example, a 12-year-old girl jumped off the fourth floor of the institution because they didn't allow her to go home and see her parents. She was taking, apparently, they're still investigating abusively from the parents. Something happened. And so she was placed in a temporary protection system until the whole trial was done. And she wasn't allowed to go for Easter to see her family. So she decided to take her own life and jumped off the fourth floor. She survived. I don't know how and in what condition she is momentarily, but she survived. But I cannot tell you how many days I went and I hugged my babies. And I go to bed sometimes crying, thinking like, there's just these kids that nobody like really like sits there and hugs them. And instead of, let's say they don't have anyone to hug them, on top of that, you as a personnel, as a director, as a minister of like the mother of all these children, the Romanian Gabriela Fira is her name. Instead of taking action in this, you go and party and sing and don't answer your phone, and you let this people in the system abuse these children emotionally, verbally, sexually, exploit them. And I don't even want to like get into like all that grim thing, but yeah, sadly, there's just so much work to do. And looking at my kids, I just think they're so lucky, and I just wish that all of them would be just as lucky as they are.
Exactly. Blessed to the nth degree. Now, boy, there's just so many different angles to come at this thing. But let's do this. Let's talk about the trip. Let's talk about the trip. I was so very happy and thankful and grateful to God the day that we were connected, because it started really opening up the vision, because I've kind of been, like Helen Keller in this thing, feeling my way through. God works on a need to know basis. And so you just have to stand in faith and believe you'll understand by the time you need to. And so when you guys came aboard, it like pushed the envelope. It took what we were starting And what we are going to start and will continue with, it just took it and laid it inside of a bigger picture. It was deeper inside the layers of the onion, if you will. And so we're very excited about being able to partner with Hope for Kids, and able to be able to open the door to the world's, we want to get the cotton out of their ears, the earplugs, so that they start to hear what needs to be heard. Now, I'm going to do this because I want to get to your video on the second half of the interview. But let me just say to you all why this is so important. Number one, this is the very first time that we've had to, as an organization, the Power of We Symposium, take this completely, as far as the funding goes, and put it in the hands of where it should have been all along, in the hands of you, the actual people. I guess that's why God said, call it the power of we. He didn't say call it the power of government. He didn't say call it the power of whatever. He said the power of we, just you and me, everyday people, right? So what you just heard Diana describe, one thing I know, we're going because we know the number one thing kids over there, kids everywhere need is our time. They want our time. So I told you, we're not running in, taking a bunch of pictures, playing a couple games and leaving. We're there for 4 to 6 hours each day with one specific group focused on them that entire day. So over here in the United States, what are we really bringing? Guess what? I'm going to show you right now. We got our first letter from a nice young man, a wonderful young man named Henry Haddis, who's 17 years old. And I'm telling you, see, if we just give kids a chance, if we only listen to them, they get it. They have possession of the brooms, dustpans, and mops that this world will need one day to clean it up from what we've created. Take a look at this. Now, what are your hopes, Henry?
My hopes are that the people who experience this letter are able to take even just like a drop of hope from it during their hard times.
I've seen your letter, and it's absolutely beautiful. How long did it take you to write it?
So the rough draft, it took me probably a day to come up with like the main ideas, and then probably 2 days to like put all that into the actual letter. I actually enjoyed the letter writing experience a lot because I know that I can actually look back on the letter that I wrote, because I gave some advice that I know I can use, because I still go through problems, and I know that if I'm able to look at the letter and look at the advice, I can implement that into my life and like during hard times, and it'll help me. It's great.
How incredible would it be if through this letter you made a friend that 50 years from now you were still friends? How would that feel?
Oh, that would be incredible. I mean, I have a few friends that I've known like my whole life, and they're just amazing. And to have somebody go through your whole life with for 50 years, I mean, you'd always have someone to turn to, and during your hard times. And that, I know people don't have that. Some people don't have that, and they need to know that there are people in this world that love them and that want them to succeed.
I saw your face. Everyone does that. When I ask him that question about how incredible would it be if 50 years from now you were still friends with that person, his father cried, Diana, because he said, I saw a light in Henry's eyes that I had not seen in a long time at that very moment. And so I want to ask you, what does it make you feel when you see and hear the connection between, doesn't it validate your deepest desires for doing this work? Even, I mean, we hope that the powers that be do something, but when they let us down, we have this to look to, as this is how we keep getting up. It is right in front of us. It is the children themselves. Tell me how that makes you feel and what's going through your mind right now.
So I just don't even think that you know how impactful it can actually be. Like, yes, you're taking 200 letters there, but we're not going to stop there with the 200 letters.
Mm-mm.
It's just so many children that I think Mike was saying to you, they haven't even, they think of America like it's just, I don't know, something they see in movies or the movies, or just a little dot on the map, a different continent that they probably never even dream of getting there in their lifetime. And just that idea that you can sit down and talk to someone from there, and explain your problems at the level that a kid would understand, not an adult, not, a lot of these children in Romania, in the system, like the public system, they're deprived of having like a student council. No matter how much they're trying to get it done, the good people in the government, they can't, because of the bad people in the government, right?
Right.
So they're pushed aside. These children suffer from depression and loneliness and, et cetera, and et cetera. Imagine having the opportunity to share these thoughts with someone in America, or let's say we get it all over the world. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just to reach someone that's can look at their problem from a child's perspective and give them that, light of hope from a child's perspective,
Right.
not an adult pushing their
Because there's
feelings.
no angle.
Mm.
Kids don't have angles. They don't have hidden agendas usually. I know this kid didn't. And I want to say one other thing here real quick, that in the kids, the 88 that I was in front of last week, I asked them if they wanted to type their letter or send a handwritten one. And in the video you just saw, there's a typed version, but he did that because I asked for it so that I could use it in the piece and to be very clear. Hopefully people will see some of it and it'll jump out. But he's sending the handwritten version. I said, why'd you pick the handwritten version when you already, he goes, because, and the kids at the school said the same thing, because I don't text my good friends. I call them or we play together. Adults would send memos, emails for the most part. When was the last time we sat down and hand wrote a letter to someone we love? These kids all said, I want to use the one I write with my hand. And then you think about how a lot of schools here in the US have taken handwriting out, And so I'm like, they can change the protocol, but they cannot change purpose. It will always be within our children. So let's get to the point about, what do you see a year from now? What would you like to see? Because this is a big apple, Diana. This is a huge apple, and we have little tiny mouths. So what is it? What do you think it looks like, line by line, as far as how we're going to really get this to work to create some lasting change?
In a couple of ways. So number one, let's just stay at these letters for now, because I think like it's not just the letters, because that's not it. It's the impact of one letter being sent. But imagine having that friendship develop. Imagine a family in the United States that would actually say, look, my son really developed this relationship, with this child from the protective system, for example. Maybe they've been thinking about adopting a child. Maybe Romania can do a better job opening adoption, international adoption, which has been pretty much closed for a long while. If you look at the statistics from year 2000 until like 2012, there were 0 international adoptions. 0. We closed them. From 2012 to 2020 have been growing from 7 to like 31 in 2020. Yeah. So maybe Romania can do a little bit better of a job, opening adoption, looking at the opportunities these children could have with families that maybe would take them on. And I'm telling you this from personal experience. I have a very good friend in Dallas who they tried to adopt a Romanian child and couldn't. It's just so darn hard. Like they make it so impossible that they ended up adopting from, I think from the States eventually. But they tried and tried. They have been like, they're a Romanian family. So they have been trying to adopt a Romanian child, right? Being aware of the situation there and trying to help. So maybe through this, maybe through these friendships, maybe parents, maybe one starts writing, maybe the second one, maybe the fifth one, maybe 50, maybe 100,
Right.
maybe 100,000, and maybe through this we managed to put a dent into some real problems that exist in the country, not just tying friendship. So I'm trying to look at the bigger picture.
Yes.
Then the second thing, I believe that if we start filming through this as you're planning to do, and getting the story out at a much larger scale.
Yeah.
Even though what we're going to see in this trip, I just things are better. Things are better in the private system. A lot of the places we go are the private system. Some of them we're probably not even going to be able to film due to privacy and all that.
Correct.
But just think that this is the better side, which is probably less than 20%, okay, of what's actually going on. So as I was saying, Romania was supposed to close these orphanages until October of 2022. They failed. They're still on. They should be deinstitutionalizing these children. They failed. They're still there. They should be giving them to NGOs that can take care of them. They have private funding, and they really, really take care of how they hire their staff and who's looking after their children. We have way more strict policies of operation. We can't just close the doors and shut the blinds and nobody knows what's happening to these children, and we can go ahead and abuse and torture and and get away with it too. So deinstitutionalization should happen eventually. But going back, we're going to see partially like a 20% of the better part, of the children that still, obviously they're without parents, they're still in trouble, but at least they're in the private sector. So they're doing a little bit better than, the 80% that are still in the public sector. So people getting just a glimpse of what's going on in the private sector,
right,
which we think it's super nice, just put and start imagining what's going on in the public sector.
Okay,
so
great.
Not sure when, as you say, when this film goes out and people learn about this, then let's see how they're going to go party, like the people in the government of Romania, how they're going to pick up their phones then when someone that, or 21 children in the system committed suicide last year. 21. Right.
Well, what we want to do now is we're going to show your video, because now you've seen how, we're stepping in through this trip, the Power of We and Hope for Kids Together, and all of the team Romania compatriots. We're all coming together to celebrate the kids that are blessed enough to be in the sector in Romania as far as care, being inside of care, that is the improvement to to celebrate what needs to be celebrated, but also to take time, a moment of silence, but not silence, if you know what I mean, so that we can get the world silent long enough to hear the cries of the children that are trying to get or deserve to be in a better position, like the few we're going to see. Okay, so here is a little peek again, deeper inside the splinter that lives beneath that skin known as Romania.
Acolo a fost personalul de serviciu care ți-a înjurat, ți-a blestemat ăsta și ți-a furat mâncarea. Unde? La dicta la Sfântul Nicolae. Să nu fie foarte numai pentru bani. Acum deja numai pentru bani. Că toți donațiile și astea, și donațiile privesc copiii, nu? Da. Privesc copiii. Donațiile se pune în
The purpose of this documentary is to raise a universal alarm on the extreme poverty levels in which families and over 41.5% of Romanian children live in. Some children go to bed without eating. Some eat every 2 days. 8 in 10 Romanian children in orphanages are not even orphans. The extreme poverty levels of their families forces the parents to abandon their children either in an orphanage, a placement center, or with a family member so they can go abroad and work. Even more alarming than the rising poverty levels in Romania are its ramifications: neglect, child abuse, child labor, rape, trafficking, school abandonment, children ending up in the system, in prison, or even worse, dead. Now imagine a world in which all children can grow up in a loving family with proper food, access to education, sexual education, access to proper mental health and physical health, access to integration programs. Imagine these children having the same chance in life as our children. Let's be family to these children, all of us.
Okay, I was like, what happened? I saw the thing go. I think the cable went out here for a second. Very, very moving. So I'd like to go into a couple pieces that were in there that I've questioned every time I see it. I wish I knew more about it. So now's today's my chance. Let's start with first of all, that staggering number that you quoted, 8 out of 10 Romanian children in orphanages aren't even orphans. So what about why is there something in place to help reconnect those children with their biological families, no matter where they are in the world?
To answer your question, no. It's so there's over 50,000 families that are forced to go out and work due to extreme poverty. Like 7,000, I think, out of them are families where both parents left. And I think like 9,000 something, I might be wrong with numbers. I'm not in front of the data and all that, but
Right.
Close enough.
Right.
Where it's a single parent raising their child and it's forced to go outside. But in total, like we're looking at 50,000+ families that are forced to leave their child, I don't know, either in the system or with even relatives, like 4th grade relatives or friends, or, which pretty much a lot of them still end up in the system.
Right.
Right. So no, there's not, I mean, if you look at economy wise, yes, the answer is yes, because they are trying to bring more companies to open, and there's a bunch of big companies opening up in like branches in Romania, and I know they're working on that side.
Well, that's good.
There's also some funds from the EU that are coming in to develop the rural area. There's a lot of good projects going with education and things like that in the rural area. And they're starting to work on school abandonment and all of that. A lot of it is quite an issue due to the fact that a lot of kids, they can't even focus on school if their stomachs are empty,
So let's take that piece a little further about the parents who abandon, because it's so easy for people to judge. What kind of parents could that be? How can you just leave your kids? But when they leave to go abroad to work, oftentimes it doesn't turn out like they dreamed, because they're working on foreign soil, in most cases with no documentation. So they don't take the jobs they could work and be qualified for at home. So a person, I'm guessing, but say a person is a teacher or they have some degreed position or whatever. Now that they're displaced, disenfranchised, if you will, they have to take what they can get. So I would think what they thought, well, just take care of our 2 kids for a year, now turns into 3, then 4, and the people they left them with, some say, look, we got our own kids. This is hard. We were supposed to only be here for so long. But they go and they do work that doesn't turn their dreams into a reality. It sometimes causes other problems, right or wrong?
Nor do they imagine that they're gonna, let's say, separate from their children for a few years,
right?
Go and make some money, and someone is gonna abuse them in the system. Neither is that,
right?
Neither. I can't imagine there's a parent on this planet dreaming that they're leaving to give a better life to their children, and someone's going to go ahead and verbally, sexually, or emotionally abuse their child.
Right.
So, and one of the social cases actually I'm working on with my team, like at the moment, like he's in exactly that situation. He had his second child. He had 9 surgeries in which he has like an abdominal, I don't know how to translate it in English. I don't know. I think it's a hernia, something along those lines. And if he stands for too long, he'll faint. He got into the hospital again and again and again, repeatedly, because he kept having to go to work to maintain his family, because the paperwork for him to become a social case, number one, takes money, and he didn't have money to pay for his health insurance to go. It's kind of like a
vicious cycle.
Exactly. So he destroyed the system at this moment. He has 9 surgeries, 5 surgeries with 9 abdominal wall support, something along those lines.
Yes.
So now to go to a good doctor, the good doctor looks at his medical file and says, well, I'm not going to operate on you because you're just way too messed up at this point. There's nothing I can do. So it's just that vicious circle in which
vicious circle.
Yeah, all association is trying
right.
to help him to get his paperwork done so he can get some help from the state. But he's so desperate and he's calling for food, he's calling for diapers, he's calling for things like that. And he's like, I'm just going to drop it all and I'm going to abandon my family and go abroad and work. He told me several times this, and I kept saying, don't, please. Like, we're working on it. It takes time, but don't do it. But for that, I'm begging, I'm knocking on every door for donations, for food, for clothes, for, strollers, for diapers, and this is 41% of the children.
Oh,
in my video, 34% of the families live at the verge of extreme poverty like this.
Put this in your notes. It just dawned on me, because see, that's why it works. The power of we. Tracy Smith and GINI Emily, Hearts in Sync, who are coming. Well, they were telling me the other day that they made a contact with someone who has a contact there and asked if we wanted clothes and things like that. They had tons of them that they said if you get sizes and things, I'm gonna put you in touch in the group, reach into them, because there's one thing right there. And they said, is it okay that we were thinking about the Sunday event, but I haven't had a chance to talk to Mike because he's, it's Easter. So there you go for that. So let me ask about this next piece. We see it in the video, but I don't know what does that look like? Never heard anybody talk about it. We hear trafficking, we hear rape, we hear the institutional, going to jail and all of that. But talk about the child labor piece. How does that work? What's it look like? What are they doing? Are they in sweatshops? What have you heard?
Well, the Romanian word for it, the most famous child labor, is cercetorie. Cercetorie. I'm sorry, now I'm like switching between languages, which is begging. So the most common one of all is you send your child on the street to beg. Now, not that usually in the Roma community is way more, you see it more than in the Romanian community. But yeah, it's been an ongoing problem for years. This was before I was a child back then. And I remember my grandparents used to tell me, now I'm brunette because I dyed my hair, but I was this like blonde little girl with green eyes. And my grandparents, for real, they wouldn't just let me go out. They would say, well, the gypsies will come and get you. Of course, it's a stupid generalization because there were wonderful people in the Roma community. But the mentality was that some of them weren't, and they would steal kids, Romanian kids that were like, these cute looking kids. The more cute the kid, the better, the more money they would make begging. But yeah, going back this would be the number one child labor that's kind of overshadowing our country.
Wow. Okay, thank you for clearing that up. Makes perfect sense. So child labor is the politically correct way of saying sending children out, because they're like on the clock for so many hours and this and the other, and they're groomed and trained how to it's just.
Then you have the window, the car window, like when you're stopped at the stoplight, they're going and washing your windshield. So these would be just some of the jobs that the kids would do. Now we get into the older kids that we get into prostitution, of course.
Yes.
And trafficking. There's a lot of this data is very hard to get to. A lot of these cases are undisclosed, so you can't really put your finger on an exact
not being reported.
I think last year they reported like 240 or something like that cases of trafficking.
And just imagine the rape numbers that don't get reported.
But even those 200, they're just like nothing close to reality because they're just not reported.
So what does school abandonment look like? What does that mean?
So I can talk to you about this for hours. I'm going to try to structure it as fast as possible. So an acquaintance of mine now, they're doing a program that's called Get to Ninth Grade, where they're trying to convince children to continue to high school. A lot of them drop out because they see the parents from the rural areas, they haven't been to school. Some of them try to push their children to go and do it, even though the school is free, but some of them don't. They consider that, my life is not so bad. Like their life is not so bad. Today he wanted to go on a bicycle, or today he needed to help with the other 6 children that I have at home because they haven't heard of sexual education and how to protect themselves and how not to, make 20 more kids already being poor. And then we kind of, again, the ripple effect in which, poverty and, sending your kids to, you have to go outside and work, or you have to send them into the placement centers, or God knows, like abandon them they haven't even taken them out after giving birth, but because of the parent mentality, you have child mentality. You have parents that smoke, parents that drink, parents that don't go to work, parents that don't have a job, don't never had a job, they live off the state money, and then that's what the child sees. You have non-motivated parents with non-motivated kids.
Right.
You have teachers running. I'll send you some videos that I have. There've been some documentaries done on this, like how teachers are following the kids at home, knocking at the door and say, you haven't been to school, come to school. Why are you on your bicycle? Taking the parent, why aren't you sending your kid to school? Oh, well, I sent him, but he doesn't want to go. Or there's just so
Yeah.
that
Again, the vicious circles, but they're like Olympic rings. A bunch of them spinning like plates, just spinning. And the bad part about that, the spinning of, if you have an act on stage of spinning plates, you turn your back to the audience, because you have to watch what you're doing. And I know that's a weird analogy, but when you think about it, it's like people here. Let's think about this. Who do you know that's been homeless, or they were in between almost homeless, but they got into one of those hotels where they have to pay so much a week, they never can save for a real house or apartment, because it's a temporary thing that sucks you dry. You cannot get out. It's like a whirlpool. Just keep till it sucks you completely down and away. So we got a few minutes left. Let's talk about 2 weeks, because you jumped on so fast. I was like, okay, right. You're like, I'm going to, and I swear before I could go, that's awesome. She had already bought a ticket. Okay, so you didn't even think about it. Tell me why. Why were you so ready to be a part of what we're doing? And what did it mean for you when you heard that this component was coming? That, look, it feels like a wonderfully gifted and anointed seatbelt from God that just goes click, and it clicked together, us and you. I know that's how it felt for me. What does it feel like to you? What did it feel like for you? And what are your hopes for what we do in a couple weeks together?
Why I jumped to buy a ticket so fast is because I know you're going to shake the system there. When they're going to find out you're going, probably they haven't yet, but when they will.
Maureen Flatley sent me 5 Romanian news outlets this morning. She said, reach into these people. So
perfect.
She had them all ready. So I told you, she waits until, you see? Yeah, so I'll share that with you after. So
you will shake them. I'm telling you, it's not just any day that you have, an American team going into the country and talking about the things that we're trying to sweep under the rug, nicely, and, fix our hair and look good on TV and say how poor children and how good of a job we're doing at it. And, you don't really want the other people to come in and see that you're actually not. So I want to be right there next to you on the front line and marching for these kids and for what they should have, not what the people are saying they have.
And we have a secret ace up our sleeves known as Visanel.
Yeah.
Bring
it's
that
not
piece
just
in.
Balan. It's not just him.
I know, but let's talk about for a second. He speaks to what I love about his presence is that he's going to be there with us. And what I love about it, he inspires me to, no matter what, you never let the world stitch your mouth shut.
Mm-mm. He's wonderful. You'll see. He's just wonderful. What he does for these children, it's just very sad that he was, kicked out from his job for doing actually good.
Right.
But you're going to meet him. He's just wonderful. Like, he doesn't sleep. All he does is respond to messages, write articles, do press, and, worry about these kids. And I think he's got a 4-year-old of his own, which, I don't know when he finds time to do it all, but he does. So you're going to see he's wonderful. Yes, he's our ace in our sleeve. Correct.
I'm so excited. Listen, you guys, I want you to check out what this organization is doing. There is scrolling along the bottom, one of the ways to get there. There is also Facebook, if that's your jam. And of course, wouldn't be right without some Instagram. So we are going to take the liberty of dropping all 3 of those connectors inside the comment section immediately at the conclusion of today's broadcast. Please do yourself first a favor. Go in and take a look at what's going on and see if there's a way you can be of service. Even just knowing what you will find will make you a better person. It is how you take what's already great to greater, what's already nice to nicer, and what's already bright to brighter. It's through education and conversation. So, I for one am so excited to see you, meet you. It is just the beginning of what I know will be a long, prosperous, and a divine experience together. So thank you. Please give our best to both of your cousins. And are either of them coming or no?
Norbert can't, but Roland will be there for the main event on the 7th. Yes,
On Sunday. Oh, good. Yay. All right.
You're still yet to meet the other one. You're still yet to meet the
I know. I haven't even met
organization.
Norbert on a call. We got to do that. We have to do that. Listen, you all out there, this is a modern day Stone Soup story. I want you to know that it is the spirit in which we do anything that creates that lasting healing known as legacy. The work we do provides a tile, if you will, so that we can create a floor for the world that is coming to walk on for thousands of years. But those tiles need to be held in place. They need spiritual grout. In your actions, create what is going to hold all this work in place for the world to find. So won't you please, the GoFundMe is also inside of your thread in the comment section already. Whatever you can donate, even if it's just a prayer, we'll take it. It will do its work. Just let it be, and you will see. I want to thank you so much again, Diana, GINI, for all you do, all you've done, and all that is coming for you to do. Thank you so much. And God bless you. And bless your husband and your family. Tell him we appreciate him sharing you with us so much. I know it's been rough. He's had to do a lot of daddy duty lately, but let him know we appreciate it. And we appreciate you. Join me tomorrow, won't you please, out front on the front porch. Tomorrow we will be here with Jamie Lane talking about her new book, F the FDA, but she used all 4 letters because she healed her 10-year-old son. You'll find out how. She's a biologist and she is an empowered super bitch. Yes, she is. So badass Jamie Lane here. And then Karina is a friend of ours, and you're going to meet another Romanian powerhouse. I call her an ambassador, a global ambassador for the protection and rights of children. Karina Bochez is here on Thursday. Mark your calendars. Listen, get out there. Be the best you can be. Be the blessing you want to see. And remember, in parting, as always, I love you. And there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. So there it is. Listen, have a great day, Diana. Great job today. So honored. Bye, you guys. Bye. Love you all. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.